Hi, Mama. Welcome back. Today, we're talking about something that I think so many of us moms feel but don't always say out loud. And that is you can deeply love your kids and spouse, but still miss yourself. Okay. Yeah, I know that's a deep one. Because the thing is, motherhood changes us. It just does. I mean, it changes our schedule, our body changes, our brain actually changes. And of course, our priorities change. But sometimes, somewhere inside all of that, all of our busyness, our tasks, and everything, you start to disappear too. Okay. And the thing is, a lot of us quietly carry this grief, this loss around um, without even realizing it. And it's not because we regret motherhood, and it's not because we don't love our families, which we do, but it's because we miss feeling connected to ourselves, that inner part of ourselves. We miss creating, dreaming, having energy, and we miss feeling alive instead of just functioning day to day. And honestly, that feeling deserves more than conversations that have been happening. It deserves for us to be talking about it and to encouraging each other around this. So today we're going to be talking about the quiet grief, grief of losing yourself in motherhood. Why creativity often disappears during overwhelm. Signs that you've been stuck in survival mode for too long, and tiny ways to start reconnecting with yourself again. So, if you've been feeling disconnected lately or for a while, I want you to realize that that creative part, that you that's hidden, is still in there. Yes, it's hidden. Even if it's been a while, even if you barely recognize yourself right now, even if life is busy, loud, heavy, and non-stop. Yes, that real you is not gone. She's just exhausted and resting, hibernating. So, for those who don't know me, my name is Christine, and I'm a mom who's been where you've been, okay? Trying to juggle all the roles that I had, considering everyone else but myself, and I started taking my needs and putting them as an afterthought. Okay. But that has changed in being intentional, being more focused about my interests too, has shifted things for me. Okay. I now help other moms in the same position finally take time for themselves. Now, you can find me in the Creativity and Clarity for Moms community on Skool. Okay. I hope to see you in there. Now, what about survival mode? I think one of the strangest things about motherhood is how gradually we face identity loss. Okay. How gradually it all happens. Now, it's not usually one big dramatic moment like, boom, your identity is gone. No, these are just tiny trade offs that happen over time. So you stop doing hobbies. Well, because there's no time. You stop resting because someone or something, always needs your attention. You stop creating because your brain is so overloaded. You stop thinking about yourself because there are four other things to think about, to do. Eventually, what happens? Eventually, you realize, whoa, I don't even know what I enjoy anymore. And that realization can feel really, really emotional. I remember mom saying things like this that I was like, that's me. That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm feeling. They would say, I don't know who I am outside of being mom. I used to be creative. I used to have passions. I used to feel excited about things, have interests. And honestly, mama, that loss, that grief, it's so real because Before, when you were in survival mode, there were parts of you that mattered, right? Before survival mode, there were parts of you that mattered. And during survival mode, you you kind of lost touch with those. You used to love painting. Maybe you used to love music, fashion, dancing, journaling, baking, photography, dreaming big, all these other things. But slowly, life became about function instead of expression. And this happens to so many of us, um, especially because as moms, we tend to carry a lot of mental load, and it's constant because you suddenly became the planner, the rememberer, the organizer, the emotional support system, the problem solver. This one, my favorite, the detective. I still am the detective. But after a while, your whole system kind of gets stuck in the keeping everything running mode, right? And not the feel alive mode. And there's a big difference between the two. So why do moms feel guilty about needing space? Now, one thing I really want to talk about is, of course, guilt, but it's because we're taught or we learn in so many ways that everyone else should come first all the time. And that's something that we have learned, we have put into practice. It's something that we actually believe without realizing that we believe it. You start thinking that if I say I need space, I am selfish. If I want time for myself, I am failing. If I'm overwhelmed, I should just handle it better. Meanwhile, we're carrying emotional labor, invisible labor, caregiving, we're taking care of that, decision fatigue, overstimulation. Oh, I still, from time to time, that's something that I still struggle with. Exhaustion, yes. Not just physical, but also emotional, mental, you name it. Constant interruptions. Oh boy, yeah. And basically pressure to do everything well. And of course you're tired. Of course we're tired. And of course you feel disconnected because we're not designed to endlessly pour out without refilling. And I think sometimes we wait for permission to matter too. We wait for permission for it to be okay for us to do something for us, right? Something that we love, something that we want to do. It's like we think that we have to wait for somebody to say, okay, it's your turn, go ahead. So hear me clearly. I want you to hear me clearly, okay? You deserve a life that includes you in it, not just responsibilities, not just survival, not just taking care of others, but you matter too. Your joy matters, your creativity matters, your peace matters, your interests matter. And of course not. You do not need to earn space for yourself by becoming completely burnt out first. No, you don't need to earn it. Okay? Now, burnout. What does burnout really look like, feel like? Now, I think we were talking about creative burnout. This is something a lot of us women, moms, experience without actually realizing what it is. Because creativity isn't only about being an artist, right? Creativity is an expression of how you feel, your personality, your imagination, your curiosity. It's play, right? It's exploration, how you feel emotionally connected to yourself. Basically, it's bringing your imagination to life using your gifts, talents, feelings, your dreams. And when someone spends years of only functioning in responsibility mode, those creative parts, they start shutting down. They don't disappear, they just start shutting down. They're hidden. And that's why you hear moms say, that's why you may even say, that's why I used to say that I don't even know what I like anymore. And that's not because you became boring. I definitely didn't become boring, but it's because overwhelm crowds everything else out. It crowds your self connection out. It mutes that need. It mutes basically yourself. Like you're faded. And the sad thing is when we finally do get a second time to ourselves, you're too exhausted to even know what to do with it. And that's survival mode. It's not failure. That's survival mode. Now, you're curious about some signs about what it would be, some signs of creative or emotional burnout. Here are a few. Everything feels like a task. Nothing sounds exciting anymore. Rest doesn't actually feel restful. You scroll instead of engaging with life, right? You feel emotionally numb. Ooh, that's a big one. You can't focus long enough to enjoy hobbies. That's sad. You feel guilty relaxing. That's a heavy one. You keep saying, one day I'll get back to myself. But this last one, this actually hurts worse than all because so many moms postpone themselves for years. Years. And eventually, the sad thing is, they stop believing that they deserve that space at all. Can you relate? Are you in that space right now? Or are you drifting towards that space? I want you to just think about that. Are you in the burnt out phase or are you approaching it? Well, I really think there's grief too attached to this loss that we don't really talk about. So not only are you burnt out, but you have this sense of loss. Because technically, your life may look fine, so you don't really realize it. Your family is healthy. You're functioning. Maybe you're handling everything and everything's going well. But emotionally, deep down, you feel far away from yourself. And that is a lonely spot, it's a lonely place to be, especially when you don't know how to explain it without sounding ungrateful, right? Because, let's be honest, people would say, oh, look at everything that you have. Look at everything that you have accomplished. So how do you explain to somebody that, yes, I am grateful for everything that God's blessed me with, but deep down inside me, there's a hole. There is something missing. There's something that's just not right. Do you feel that? But I just want you to realize this, okay? Missing yourself is a normal part of motherhood. And that doesn't mean that you don't love your family, okay? In fact, those are not opposites. You're allowed to love your children, your spouse, your family deeply, but still more in the part of yourself that's buried under survival mode. Both things can be true. And I think a lot of moms don't even realize how disconnected they are until they randomly experience a tiny moment of feeling like themselves again, right? Maybe this is you. Maybe you genuinely laugh for the first time in months. Or maybe you make something creative and it's been a while. Maybe you wear something that feels like you. It has your personality. Expressing your personality, it makes you feel, ooh. Maybe you sit alone in silence with coffee or tea or your favorite drink and suddenly remember, oh, there I am. So those moments matter. They don't have to be big. Just tiny moments. And guess what? Those are clues. There are clues that you were burnt out. You are burnt out. That you are lost, for lack of a better way to put it. They remind you that you, the real you, still exists underneath the overwhelm, the busyness, the tiredness, the juggling. So, how do we reconnect? How do you reconnect? Now, let's talk about that. This is not about reinvention because I think we see a lot of posts, videos, books all over around us that push the idea that women need giant transformations. And honestly, a lot of overwhelmed moms don't need a total life makeover. That doesn't make sense. And that will make them even more overwhelmed. And instead of helping, you would drag them even further down. So, what you need are tiny, tiny, consistent moments of self connection, tiny moments that you start waking up to yourself. That's it. Tiny things, and those count. And no, it doesn't have to be perfect. I see you there. Yep. We're club perfectionists. No, they don't have to, it doesn't have to be perfect. Here's some examples. Because I'm sure if you think about them, you'll find more things that fit to your life. So here are some examples. Okay. Journaling for 5 minutes, listening to music you used to love, making a Pinterest board that reflects just you, your loves, your interests, doodling, sitting outside alone, buying supplies for a hobby again. Ooh, reading for pleasure. I love that. I do that a lot. Taking yourself seriously again. Wearing something that feels expressive. Your personality is shining through. Dancing in the kitchen or somewhere else. Taking yourself on a coffee date. Going out on solo dates. Here's another example. Creating without trying to monetize. Now, sometimes we forget that we're allowed to create just because it feels good, right? Not because it's productive, not because it's profitable, and definitely not because it's useful. Although joy is useful too, right? So, Mama, I want you to realize that reconnecting with yourself often starts smaller than you think. Okay? It starts with asking, what makes me feel alive? Okay? What makes you feel alive? I want you to ask yourself, what makes me feel alive? Not productivity, not efficiency, but alive. Now, this question is very important. It matters because it encourages you to look deeper, to look inwards, to pay attention to yourself, your inner self. Okay? Now, if you've been feeling disconnected with yourself lately, I really want you to stop seeing yourself as broken, defective, lazy. You are definitely not broken. You are, in fact, overwhelmed. You are overloaded, and you are mentally carrying too much. And somewhere inside all of that, your identity got pushed to the background, right? Because you're focusing on other things. You're full of other things, and you don't have time for little old you. But the real you is still in there. Okay? Your creativity is still in there. Your personality is still in there. Bring it out. Your softness is still in there. Your dreams are still there. Even if they feel quiet or invisible right now, they are still in there. And it's time for them to come out. It's time for you to dig deep down inside and start uncovering them again. Okay. Now, you don't have to become the exact person that you used to be, because you're really not, right? But you are allowed to reconnect with yourself again in this season, in this moment, with who you are right now. Not your future self, not your past self, with who you are right now. You're allowed to reconnect with yourself slowly, gently, and without guilt. Please promise that you're going to start doing that, because this is very important. Now, as we finish up, if this episode has made you sit back and start thinking, start reevaluating yourself today, the part of you that is hidden, the part of you that you miss, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Please put it down in the comments. Anything that has made you go aha, your aha moments, go ahead and put them down in your comments. Any tips, anything that will help another mom realize that they need to evaluate their life this way. They need to start getting back to doing what they love. Okay. Also include what's one thing that used to make you feel like you before you were overwhelmed. Well, it's one thing that used to make you feel like you before you were overwhelmed. Now, if you're in a season where you know that you want to reconnect with yourself again, I would love you to join the waitlist for the Creative Identity Reset. Okay. Now, this is for the mom who knows that she's still in there somewhere, right? She just needs space, support, creativity, reflection, small steps to reconnect with herself again. I'll leave the link down below, okay? And mama, please remember, you are still a whole person too, okay? So go ahead and like this video and share it with another mom who you know needs to hear this right now, okay? And I'll see you next week. Bye for now.